It is the Behind the Book sports betting program live this week from the MGM Grand, back from New Jersey, back at our home stomping grounds. Gill Alexander from the Vegas Stats and Information Network, along with a man who lords over not just 10 books here in Vegas, but books nationwide, the Vice President of Race and Sports at MGM Resorts International, Jay Rood. Hello, Jay.
Hi, Gil. How's it going?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm a little salty today.
A little salty? Well,
yeah.
Maybe this will put you in a good mood.
Yeah, let's talk some football. That'll cheer me up.
Yeah, college football season is here, and man, does it start out with a bang. 4 games which feature ranked teams versus other ranked teams. We'll get to all the line movement. We'll dive into it right here from the MGM Grand. It's Behind the Book, brought to you by the PlayMGM app. Back on Behind the Book, live from the MGM Grand, brought to you by the PlayMGM app. It's the sports betting series that features the great Jay Rood, ladies and gentlemen, Vice President of Race and Sports, MGM Resorts International, Gill Alexander. Jay, college football gets underway in earnest. We had a week 0, but now it's week 1, featuring 4 games, ranked teams versus other ranked teams. It begins chronologically, the subset of 4, with Michigan and Notre Dame at South Bend. This is a pick'em. And the nice part about college football is while the playoffs are in January, really this game acts just like a playoff game because Michigan, I guess they could lose, still win the Big Ten. Notre Dame could lose, but they'd still have to run the table. Yeah. You get the idea. You better figure out a way to win this football game.
Every game counts. I mean, that's the great part about college sports is, you know, in the tournament, everything. It's, you know, you take one play off, your whole season could be gone literally on one play.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a lot of people that put a lot of effort into you know, these programs and stuff, and it's sad, you know, that one play could determine that, but it is what it is. But, you know, this is going to be an interesting game for sure from a betting perspective. You know, I think you're going to point out that it's been kind of all over the place. I think the betting public is going to be very enamored with Captain Khaki and his team.
Yeah.
You know, I think they pretty much present the better offense. They have a very, very tough defense. And they're just a more popular team at this point. A lot of people, the public, have shied away from Notre Dame because they've sort of, you know, gotten burned over the last couple of years. You know, the party from 3 years ago when they had a great year, that's all gone. You know, it's about make me money now, send me a cashier window now. That's what it's all about.
That spread that Jay's talking about that's been all over the place, there was one straight book that had Notre Dame open at -7, went all the way to Michigan favored by a point. Now you're seeing a consensus of Notre Dame -1. It is a pick'em here at MGM. But really, if you think about it, Notre Dame, man, the best thing going for them is that they're at home because they've got their work cut out for them. It's Brandon Winbush at quarterback. He's got to go up against Michigan's #1 pass D from last year. 9 returning starters and most of their tackles coming back. Tackles meaning guys that have the most tackles, the 9 biggest guys on that sheet. And then Notre Dame, 101st passing, we're talking, 102nd in efficiency, 101st overall in their passing game. None of their offensive linemen, the big 2 that are now in the pros, Mike McGlinchey and Quentin Nelson. I don't know how this stacks up for Notre Dame.
Well, I see how it stacks up for me. I mean, you typically are the sharp community.
Yeah.
And I think the public is going to be all over Michigan. So that means my fat ass gets to root for Notre Dame in this game because, you know, I think the pros and the Joes are going to be on the same side here, and that's the visiting team of Michigan.
All right, so you're going to need Notre Dame, Michigan with Shea Patterson at quarterback, and all the expectations in the world with Jim Harbaugh. Got to get it done this year. Can't beat Michigan State. Can't beat Ohio State. It's got to get started with a win here at South Bend. Back on Behind the Book, brought to you by the PlayMGM app. The college football games, the big ones, continue on Saturday. This is at a neutral site, Atlanta. It is SEC country. But it's Auburn out of the SEC, generally considered to be the 3rd best team in the SEC behind Alabama and Georgia, against Washington. University of Washington, generally considered to be the best team in the Pac-12. This was Auburn -3 for most of the summer. Now you're seeing some Washington money. It's Auburn -1.5. And could this, Jay, could this be one of the first examples we'll see where you might need one team at your Vegas books with a bit of a West Coast bias and a different team in Mississippi with a bit of an SEC bias?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know if Auburn will get the super strong backing down in the Mississippi area. I'm sure their fans will come down, but most of their fans will probably be over in the Georgia Dome watching the game.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I mean, the number coming down probably indicates a little bit of early sharp money. But again, it's going to rage the debate of Pac-12 versus SEC, which is a constant debate throughout the years. Usually, especially when both leagues have really, really good schools. But this is definitely almost a national championship eliminator at this point.
It's another elimination game. Seriously, if you lose this game, you've basically got to run the table the rest of the way.
Yeah.
And these two teams, especially Auburn, has a gauntlet of a schedule as well. It's interesting. Pac-12 has a lot to really make up for here. Pac-12 won one bowl game last year. And when last we saw Auburn, UCF, Central Florida, was wiping them off the field.
Right.
So they've got a lot to play
National
for
champs,
here.
Central Florida.
According to some, that's right. National champs, Central Florida. The people's champion, if you will.
Right.
But Jarrett Stidham, he's used to playing great secondaries. Alabama and Georgia leap to mind. But I would argue that he may not face a better secondary than what he's about to see here with UW. Jarrett Stidham got his work cut out for him.
Yeah, no, I mean, both the quarterbacks are going to be probably what makes both these teams go. I mean, whoever, obviously, I'm not overstating anything that's not the obvious, but I think that the quarterback that finds the most success against, some really tough defenses is going to be the one that leads his team to victory.
Washington returning the 8th best defense in the land last year, including their 9 top tacklers. That's how you say that.
Yes.
I like UW. I know you didn't ask me, but if I had to make a pick here, Washington as the dog winning outright.
I think the pick is probably going to be Washington for the public, but and I wouldn't be too worried either way, rooting for one of these teams for the house. But I do think probably I'll get to root for the home favorite a little bit here as we move into this game. But I think there could be really good two-way action on this, and the regional bias could come into play.
Okay. Great college football. Can't wait for this game. There are more games, though, as the weekend continues. We'll get to those in a moment. Right here on Behind the Book from the MGM Grand, as always, brought to you by the PlayMGM app. Back to Behind the Book from the MGM Grand. It's Gill Alexander. Time to Ask the Pro, brought to you by the PlayMGM app. You, Jay, would be the pro.
Okay.
You ready?
Let's do this, yeah. This is my favorite segment.
I know it is. This is from the Borgata Facebook page because we were at the Borgata in lovely Atlantic City last week.
And we'll be there next week.
And what a beautiful property it was.
Yes, it
is. And it is, by the way. Here's the question, Jay. Jay, looking forward to placing my first legal sports bet in the United States. I'm not in Las Vegas, so where can I bet on my beloved Eagles?
Well, yeah, I mean, funny you should mention that. Borgata, we launched there back in June. So we're taking bets there. We've been taking bets. It's great. Obviously, if you are an Eagles fan, that's the place to do it. I have a hard time believing that you've never been to Vegas if you're a big sports fan and made a bet, but
it's possible.
Vegas is still going to be the place to come, to hang out, have a great time. But if you find yourself down in the South, down by Biloxi or having some barbecue in Memphis, we've got a couple properties there. We've got the Gold Strike in Tunica.
Yeah.
Great little book there in the deli area that's there. Good eats, good viewing, and bets. Pickles and jam it's at. And then the Beau Rivage, kind of the crown jewel of the Mississippi area. We built a beautiful book there. They're doing great business. Saturdays is going to be insane there, so
it's going to be crazy.
It's going to be a lot of fun. So you've got all those locations. If you're in New Jersey, you don't necessarily have to go down to Borgata. We have our app, our PlayMGM app, which is in New Jersey now live. That's always an easy get on, get off, make a quick bet. If you're on the turnpike, pull over, make a quick bet, and then get back on. No
betting while driving, Jay.
And more options will be coming.
That's right. So within the confines of the state of New Jersey, you can use the app.
Yep.
On property in Mississippi, you can use the app, and then within the confines of the state of Nevada.
We do not have the app live in Mississippi just yet. It is coming.
Okay. All right.
Let's crawl before we start to run.
Three different locations, though. 3 different jurisdictions, as they say: Nevada, New Jersey, and in Mississippi on MGM properties. That's how you can bet on your beloved Eagles. Back on Behind the Book, the sports betting show sweeping the nation. Gill Alexander, Jay Rood, sweeping it.
Because it's awesome, good looks, obviously, rugged good looks.
Clearly. The college football game of titans clashing continues over the weekend with a standalone game on Sunday at Arlington at Jerry's World between LSU out of the SEC and Miami out of the ACC. Miami, the Canes, favored by 3 in this one. We talked about in previous games, if you lose, you're in big trouble. Well, here, between these two teams, man, you lose this, you're absolutely in trouble. You're not going to be playing in a college football championship. Right. LSU just has a ridiculous schedule that features, yes, some of the tougher games at home, but the tougher games for them are Alabama and Georgia, for God's sakes, at home. So LSU got to come up with a way, rather, to win this football game. The Canes, though, coming off a very interesting season in which they were undefeated the whole way through until the final 3 games. It didn't end well for Mark Richt and company.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think turnover change gang is going to, have a lot of high expectations this year. Yeah. And if they stumble on this game, I mean, it is a complete regroup, I think, for that coaching staff. It's going to be, there's a massive missed opportunity for them because they're starting with a extremely high ranking, I think. Miami
yes.
is. And,
absolutely.
And that's very beneficial if you're looking to get into that top 4. Miami's a team that possibly, if they started, low 20s to get there, their strength of schedule might not be as good to get them there.
That's a great point.
This is a critical game for them to get by. That being said, LSU, again, SEC school, a very tough physical brand of football. They're going to bring a ton of fans probably to the Arlington area. Miami, don't know what their fans will travel there, but really, really good game. From a betting perspective, I think the glamorous side here with Miami is going to draw the action for the general public. If this game were to tip to 3.5, I think you would see a feeding frenzy from the sharp community on LSU.
I think you're right. So this probably ends up 3, bottom line at the close?
I don't see this pivoting too much. We might move the juice, but in college I don't really like to do that too much. I think this is going to be a 3, and it could be bet one-sided, very clearly on the Miami side, but I'm not willing to give up that value to the Sharps by giving 3.5 and potentially getting sided on it.
The man plays a game with the Sharps and the Joes alike, that's for sure. Miami, by the way, the 8th-ranked team in the country getting into this season. Key stat to look at here. Last year, the Canes 125th in the nation on offense and third down conversions. That's only going to get better. However, might not get better in this particular game because LSU held opponents to just a 35% conversion rate on third downs. I think LSU sustains that, and I think they sustained it in this game. I'm going with the Tigers.
Well, you and I will be on the same side then, probably.
I like it. LSU and Miami at Arlington on Sunday. Back on Behind the Book from the lovely MGM Grand. The homestead, Jay.
It's where it all started.
It's where it all started, all the good stuff. It's Gill Alexander. It's Jay Rood, by the way. Jay, it concludes week 1 in college football with a standalone game on Monday night. Va-Tech, that's how the cool kids call it, in the mid-Atlantic region of the country. Virginia Tech traveling to Tallahassee to take on FSU, Florida State. The Seminoles, 7.5-point favorites. They got the hook here. How do you feel the action will go? Will this come back down to 7?
Yeah, I mean, with the quarterback announcement that they're going back to the kid that got hurt first game last year.
DeAndre
Francois, right? Look, he looks phenomenal. He's quite an athlete. I mean, if he's 100% healthy back from his injury, he could be a game changer for Florida State. They're ranked 19. That's sort of like, if you're betting horses, that's like an 8-to-1 shot. You don't know quite what to do with it, right? I mean, this could be a top 4 team in 4 or 5 weeks, or they could be out of the top 30 in 4 or 5 weeks. So, but I do think clearly the public is going to be all over Florida State at home with the quarterback coming back that looked so good last year, and at home on national television. It's just that's a recipe that the square betting public can't resist.
Well, call me square here, Jay, because I think if this comes down to 7, I don't want to lay the hook. I don't want to lay the 7.5. But if this comes back down to 7, I will be on FSU as well. They are getting back 2 great sophomore defenders in Marvin Wilson and Joshua Kane-Doe. That just came down this week. Great defense. I know Vatek's got a great defense from last year. They were 13th best in the nation. But if you're asking me which team will ultimately break through on offense, I'll say it's FSU against Vatek. I think FSU is going to hold that Virginia Tech offense to very few points in this ball game.
Yeah, I mean, Virginia Tech's quarterback, he's a bit of a playmaker too. I mean, there could be a lot of fireworks in this game, I think. You know, there's a lot of great defensive players on the field, but I think it's going to be down to, you know, really which quarterback sort of struts into his own. I keep saying that, but I mean, this college slate of all these great teams up against each other is like an NFL, you know, weekend.
Yeah.
And NFL is driven by who your quarterback is and how well he plays. And I think a lot of these games are going to come down to that one particular fact. And generally, there's a lot of people that bet that way. They bet the better quarterback. They look at it. They don't care what the point spread is. I'm taking Aaron Rodgers over Matthew Stafford every time. And I don't care if it's 8.5.
There are worse betting strategies.
Right.
Certainly than that. Not come into their own, strut into their own. Who is going to be the quarterback that does that? So whether it's Michigan, Notre Dame, Washington, Auburn, maybe LSU against Miami, or this one, Vatek, FSU, so many great college football games to bet on. Maybe something off that slate, 130 FBS teams in action. Bet them here at the MGM Grand. Bet them at all MGM properties here in Las Vegas, or at the Borgata in New Jersey, Beau Rivage in Mississippi. So many options now. For Jay Rood, the Vice President of Race and Sports at MGM Resorts International, I'm Gill Alexander from the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Thanks for joining us. Have fun this weekend. Good luck with all your bets. And thanks for watching Behind the Book, brought to you by the PlayMGM app.